Today, you're going to build your very own interactive data dashboard here using the Dash framework. I'm going to guide you guys through all this and break this down for you as I introduce you to callbacks, the Dash framework, and so much more to bring it all to life. Welcome back, guys, to the channel. Welcome back, guys, for another episode of Code with Josh. For obvious reasons, I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys here today. As I said in the intro, today I'm going to introduce you guys to the Dash framework, allowing us to create interactive data web applications. This is all using Plotly and Dash, and today we're going to use world happiness data to generate a live interactive world map that's going to display and allow us to manipulate and change our data. If you're ready, buckle up because we're about to get to it. The first link in the description is going to be the data set that we are going to use in today's episode. Okay, head on down, it's free, it's like the first link in the description, okay? Pick up the data set, create a setup on VS Code, and come along and code with me as I break all this down for you guys in a fun and engaging way. If you're ready for your first data web app, let's dive in and get to it. All right, here we are, guys, about to set up our interactive Plotly dashboard. And you can see that I'm now in a new VS Code. Okay, the only thing I have here is my CSV file, which I'm going to link in the description below. And this is the data that we are going to be working with. And this is the World Happiness Index. And we have our happiness score, but we also have other categories that countries can rank in. Okay, now let me show you guys the final product so we know what we're working out to build. And here you can see this is our dashboard. Okay, if you've ever worked with Flask, we're basically making a web application, but instead of for an e-commerce store or a CRUD application, we are making a dashboard for data. And I can hover around each country and it has the statistics about the country, right? If I click a country, it's going to open up all the details for that country, right? I can see the top 5 countries, the happiest countries in the world, and the most unhappy, and then we have the highest score and the lowest score. I can click between countries, and it's going to update our statistics for that, right? And then all the other options besides just our happiness score, I could do like health, life expectancy. And then it's going to change to where the longest life expectancy I can see is Singapore, the least Swaziland according to our data, right? And I could change between a few things. This is really the dashboard we're going to be making out here. Okay, so let me close this down. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to close my CSV. Let's set everything up. I'm going to create us a Python file. Let's call it app.py. We're making an application. Okay, and I'm going to make a folder called assets. Now, assets is important because Plotly is going to look for this folder, all right? And specifically inside here, I'm going to be storing my CSS files. So when it comes time for all the styling, that's going to be held in here. And I am going to be using Sass, SCSS to style today. You're welcome to use that with me or CSS. I'll put my CSV file inside assets, okay? Now let's begin off here with our imports. So what do we need to build this out? I want you guys to open up your terminal and you're gonna need to install 2 things for me, okay? I need Dash and I need Plotly installed on your system. Right, so Dash is a framework of Plotly which allows us to make these interactive dashboards. So in your terminal, you can run pip install Dash and Plotly. Okay, if you don't already have Pandas, you will need Pandas. And as we go on more, I am going to be installing something here called Dash Bootstrap Components. And if you've ever worked with Bootstrap, it's just going to allow me to bring in other components to help this web application run more responsively and fluidly. Okay, so install these. I'm not going to do so. Already installed. Okay, I will put those as a title here for you guys. And let's just get through our imports. So the first thing I'm going to do is import Dash. Okay, now that we have Dash, I'm going to say from Dash, I would like to import 2 things. dash core component, DCC, and then HTML. Okay, so if you have an understanding of HTML, that's going to come into handy here. That's really going to help you out, just like basics of HTML. We're going to tap into dash, and I want to get some dependencies. We are going to be working with callback decorators, and you can think of a callback like a root in Flask, but really what it is when something happens with our data, we want those changes to reflect in our web application. So I'm going to import two things. I'm going to import output and input. We're working with data, so we're going to import Pandas. Okay, that's what we've been working with for a while here. I'm going to say import Plotly Express, there it is, as PX. So this is going to help me build the map. All right, Plotly Express it has a map in there that I'm going to use. And then finally, I'm going to say from dash bootstrap components, from import DBC. That stands for dash bootstrap components. All right, so those are our imports. They're taken care of. All right. Really all we need to do to create an app is create the app object and then run this app. I'll do two things though. First, I will create us our data frame with our data. So this is using Pandas, read CSV. The name of mine is 2019 CSV. Okay. Then I can actually create our app. And I'm going to say dash. And inside here, I'm going to say name. So if you've ever worked with Flask, this is the same setup. Okay. Then at the very bottom, I'm just going to say if name is equal to our main. I'm going to say app.run server. There we go. And so it automatically updates for us. I'm going to put in here debug is equal to true. Awesome. So a quick test, you could run that. Okay, nothing is really going to happen. I'll run it quickly for you guys. So I'm thrown an error. That's because I imported this wrong. Let me say here, import this as. It's not an individual, okay? It is just, okay, let's try that again. Okay, so I'm giving a nickname to the dash bootstrap components. Okay, no file exists. That's another error on my part. Assets, it's housed in the assets folder. Okay. Cool. So when it's working, it's just like Flask. You're going to see your own local host down here. If I open this up, okay, you can see this. And this is fine because there's nothing happening. I'm trying to run a server, but our page will be displayed here. But let's start putting things on the screen so we can actually see them come to life. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to trash my terminal. And our app is our object. So we're building everything out from here. Right, so now that we have our app, I need to start adding things to the layout. So I can take my app object and we're going to say layout. Where's layouts? Okay, just like so. And what this is I need to create a container to hold everything. So inside our base components, I have something called container. Okay, just like so. I need to figure out how to turn that off, that pop-up box. Inside that container, everything's going to be held in kind of like a list in a way. And I'm going to start off with my first item. So I'm going to create a div. This is just HTML. Okay, standard HTML. And inside here, what do I want it to say? Well, in my div, I'm going to give it a class name. Okay, but this is really going to be like the title of the application. And I can be like app header. And what is inside this div? Well, this div is going to have children. Okay, and this children is going to be an H1 tag. I want to call this world happiness index dashboard. Pretty descriptive name, you could say. And inside here, I could give this as well, class name, let's call this. Okay, so we have this H1. You could run it. You would see this now appear on your page because we've started to build this dashboard out. I have an H1 tag. I have a container. Okay. Very nice. Now moving on, I want to begin to create the drop-down box in the world map. Okay, so I'm going to create a row. And inside this row, there we fix that out. Inside this row is going to be a column. So I'm going to say col. And inside our column is going to be holding our core component drop down. There it is. Okay, so this is really the drop down box. For now, I'm going to leave this pretty much unstyled. I will say ID equals, let's call this metric drop down. Okay, very cool. So we have a container with our div, which really just holds the header. And then we have a row underneath there that's going to have ideally a column. It's holding our drop-down box. For the column, I'm going to give it a width. Let's get that out of there. Let's say the size, this works like a dictionary, is 6. Where am I? That's a 6. I'm in the wrong area. Let's put it here. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to offset this by, let's say, 3. Okay, very cool. I could give a class name here if I wanted to. So for example, like this is the drop-down container. So just like so. Very cool. Okay. Awesome. Now the last thing I'm going to put here for now, and we're going to run it, is I want to create a row. And this row here is going to hold the chart. Okay, so I have a row. What do I want in the row? I want to have a column again. Okay, inside my column, I can put a graph. There is my graph. Okay, so this graph is really going to be our world map. So I'm just going to say your world map. Very cool. And let's give that a width of 12. Okay. I'm going to run this again, save it, run it. Let's see what's starting to come to life. Okay, clicking my link. Cool. I mean, this is great. This is great. So the map it's just a chart, but this will become a map. We have our drop-down box, no results, that's fine. Okay, everything is, I'm just structuring things out how we want it. Okay, so very quickly, let me go back through with you guys, right? So we created an app. Once we have an app, we design the layout for the app. The entire app is held in a container. Okay, and notice for all of these that every item, a row, a column, a container, it takes a list. Okay, inside there is where we structure and keep our HTML. So all the HTML tags you already know, you can still use here. A div, H1, paragraph tags, anything can still be used. Okay. We have a drop-down box, no information yet, that's fine. I have a row with the world map that's going to appear in there. Cool, now I just want to get the bottom part going. So this is really where we display the top countries and the bottom countries, okay? So I'm going to create another row and a div for those, right? And this time I will create, speaking of divs, right, 2 divs. I'll create one here, and we're going to create one here, comma. Let's sort that. There we go. So in the first div, I'm going to be giving this information, and we don't really have this information yet. So remember, ID is not like a HTML ID. This ID will allow us to pass data around. So once I have data, I can find the ID and I can give the data to the ID. Let's call this data insights, okay, as my ID. And I mean, while I'm here, I might as well just give it a class name. And we can also call this data insights. This is for styling. Okay, so ID is for our data, class name is for our styling. For this one, we will just give it an ID, and we're going to say top, bottom, countries. I'm going to copy the ID, paste it, and for this, I'm also going to call it top,
bottom countries. Cool. We could, where am I here? I'm gonna give this a width. Okay, I only want this to occupy like 80% of the screen. Okay, not overly all of it. Okay, very nice. And the last one is gonna be a column. This is gonna hold, so like once I click a country on my map, I wanna display information about that country. This is where this box is going to appear. And inside here, this will be a div, okay? Inside my div, we will be like, what ID, let's say like country details, because this represents the details about that country. And class name will pretty much be the same as follows, country details, okay? And we're gonna say width is equal to 4. Awesome, okay, so really this is good to go. You could come up there, it's just refreshed. There's nothing new on the page. So let's start to kind of build out this drop down so then we can pass that information into our map. All right. If we go up here, I'm going to start to expand here on a drop down actually. Okay. Inside our data, if we take a look, these are kind of the things we want to see. Score, GDP per capita, social support. So you can go and choose what data you want to display and where, okay? So how this is done in the dropdown is we are going to move on here and I'm going to give it something called options. So I'm going to say options is equal to a list. And inside here, each item is like a dictionary. So it starts with label, and then we need a value. I'm going to copy this because I'm just going to have to type it quite a lot. So label, it's going to be the happiness score. This is the first option you could choose from, happiness score. And then the value is going to be the score. Okay. What is the next one in the chart? Well, you could go GDP per capita. So I'm just going to copy that actually. And I'm just going to drop that in. Okay. What is the value of this? Once again, it's going to be GDP per capita. So I'm just going to build out all the other ones very quickly. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is probably just copy this one now. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That might be enough. So let's start with the next one. I'm holding command. I'm on a Mac. Okay. I'm going to call this one social support. Okay. For our next one, it's health life expectancy. Our data can also show like the freedom to make choices. So like freedom to make life choices. Generosity will be an option. And then finally, the corruption of each country. So this is like, do the people think the country is corrupt? Perception of corruption. Okay, just like that. Now I have value for each of these, right? So I'm going to kind of give that a value in a way, and I'm just going to say value is equal to score. Okay, the score is within the data itself. I'm going to add a slight styling to this. We're just going to say width, and the value of that can be 100%. Okay, let me check that. It should have already... Did I kill the connection? I don't know. Let's run it again. We got an error, so it probably stopped the connection. There we go. So happiness score, boom. Here are all the options that we will be able to choose from. When I click generosity, it should display that on our app screen. Very cool, guys. Let's start this map now. Okay, the map needs to begin displaying our data. Okay, so I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna kind of tighten this up now. Okay, so most of the components, well, I mean, the components are built. Your layout is actually done, but we need to now take data and apply it to the layout. The last thing I'll do here, actually, since we're down here, fluid. What is fluid? Fluid, I think I want this one. True.
Hey guys, real quick, if you're getting value from today's video, please do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. That really does help me out in the YouTube algorithm a lot more than you know. So if you enjoy this, hit the like and subscribe. All right, back to the video.
Now we need to make our first callback. So this is kind of a big topic, creating callbacks. And this is kind of just like I'm going to put in parentheses a Flask root, because if you've come from Flask, I'm going to kind of explain it as a root. Okay, so in Flask, we would do something like app.root, and this would create that root. But we're here in now dash, and we're creating a callback. So a callback does two things. It takes input information and it gives that to an output place within our layout. Okay, so this first callback, I'm building the map. Okay, so I'll actually put up here world map callback. Okay, so this is going to it's going to take our drop down inputs and it's going to show map results. That's basically what's going to happen. So what do I want the output to be? So output, we imported this. Remember, I've imported output and input. I'm now using these within the callbacks. Okay, so the output information. Now, what are we trying to change? Well, I'm trying to change my world map. So inside here, I need the ID, right? So, right, IDs, that allows us to pass data to it. So my ID for world map is world map. So I'm just going to say here, okay, I want to change world map, okay? And then what is the world map? So the world map is going to be, or is a figure, okay? Done. So in order for this output to happen, what is the input data that we are collecting? Well, the input data I'm collecting is going to be information from my dropdown. And if you go up, you can see the ID metric dropdown. So I'm going to take that ID, okay? And then what do we want from that? Well, if we go up here, I want to get the value. That's my score. So I'm going to say score. Or sorry, not score, but I want the value for that. So value. Okay, so this is creating a callback. Now this is a decorator. So under here, I need a function. Let me call this like update map. Okay, that's just a Python function. This callback is linked to our function. And this is going to take our given metric. So selected metric. Okay, so whatever I choose from this drop-down box, generosity, perception of corruption, happiness, that's going to be given to this function right here. Okay, and I'm going to create a figure. So if you've worked with data analytics before, matplotlib or plotly, right, we create a figure. This represents the chart. And here is where we use Plotly Express. So I imported that as PX. And I want a world map. So that's actually called yes, this one. Okay, this represents our world map. And in order to construct this, what do we need? Data. I need the CSV file. Remember, I created us a data frame right here. So I'm going to give the map this entire data frame. And then we can start by customizing the map. So I'm going to give it my data frame, okay? And then I'm going to have to give it a bunch of things. You can actually see this pop-up box is so annoying, but right now it's actually rather helpful. I need locations, locations mode. I'm going to give it a color, right? All these are kwargs. So really for this to work, I'm just going to give it locations. And it should be able to pick up a country or region. I'm going to give this location mode, and it's going to go by country names. We can give it a color, and I want it to be like a gradient color based on the percentage that we get from our data. So the color is going to be based on the selected metric. Okay, very nice. When I hover name, yes, when I hover over it, I also want to show the country or the region. Okay, so when my mouse goes over it, we can see that. I'm going to give it a scale. This scale is going to be more or less our gradient. And you can choose a few things here, but inside Plotly Express, we have colors, then we have the sequential module. And then here you can choose, all of these are just different color schemes that you could choose from for the map. Let's start off with something like peach R. Okay, great. And the last one I'm going to give this is a title. Title is going to be an F string, and I'm going to say World Happiness Index, and then our selected metric, because that could change. Okay, so this is our figure, right? Now I want to take the figure and I want to update my layout. So I'm going to say update layout. And I'm going to give this a margin. So I'm going to give, I can do here right margin of 0. Okay. Top margin, I'm going to give this 40. Right, I already did right. So left margin, I'm going to give this 0. And let's say bottom margin, I'm also going to give it 40. Okay. Then finally, I'm going to return the figure, just like so. Okay, so we've created the function that now plots our data to the map. Let's run back. Let's check our data. Not connected. That's fine. I'm going to run my code again. Did it throw me an error? No, it didn't. Okay, good. There we go. Okay, so this is our map. When I change this dynamically, it should, okay, so I do have a callback error on that, and we're going to have to address that, right? But you can see the map here itself. This is great. I hover, it is showing me the data I want to see, okay? And down here is a little tool for you. If you click this open, you can actually see the errors, the callbacks, right? If I toggle this, this is really what's happening. So the metric dropdown goes from a value all the way to our world map. The errors I'm getting, well, yeah, great. Okay, there's my errors. You can see here, value of color is not the same. Okay. What is this one? Return make figure. Value of color is not the same in data frame. Oh, this might be an E. Okay, so I don't think these are matching up. Okay, that's fine. Let's go and check that. So, up here. Yeah, so everything is capitalized. Perceptions of corruption, freedom to make life choices. So, health, life, health. Okay, that should be taken care of. Okie dokie. Color. Where did my color go here? Yeah, I'm gonna try that again. If not, we'll address it later. Yeah, I'm gonna address this later. Value of color is not the same as in column in my data frame. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I do want to display the bottom text right now. This error, after I get the data here on the screen, we can go back through it. So the next callback we want here is I want to display the top and bottom country for each data input. Okay, so the happiest country and the least happy country. So for this to function, I'm going to create a new callback. Okay, and inside here we're going to say output, and then we are going to say our input. Now, the output for our top and bottom country here, this is going to be our data insights ID, and we want to target the children of that. For our input, once again, we are getting the input from the metric dropdown. That's not changing, and that is going to return to us a value. Nice. So let's create us a function. Let's call this update insights. And this is going to take our selected metric again, whichever one we choose from the drop-down box. And I want to find the highest, and I want to find the lowest. So we're going to use some pandas here, and I'm just going to say to find the highest, let's take our data frame, and I want to locate. What are we trying to locate? Well, I want to choose the metric that we are doing. I don't need that as a string. Selected metric. And we just have to call the ID max function. There we go. And I'm going to copy this because for lowest, it's going to be the same thing, except this time it's ID min. So the happiest country in the world is going to be here, and the least happy would be here. Okay. These insights we want to show on our screen. So I want to create HTML to take the data and put it on the screen. These could be done with HTML like tags, H3, H2, H1, up to you. I'm going to return this later. So I'm going to be like insights is equal to a list, let's say H3. And because I'm going to have two of them, let's just take them and put them here. Okay. Now, inside here, what do I want this to say? I'm going to be like highest. And this is just going to be our, well, highest, you guessed it. And then I can put here the metric as well. So here, well, no, let's switch that. Let's say this is going to be, we chose like happiness, and then we want the highest. I'm going to index that as the country or region. And then finally, we are going to come in here and I'm going to say highest selected metric. And I'm going to copy the internal components because I'm just going to use them here. And we can change everything to say lowest, selected metric. This is going to be lowest. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, finally at the end of our function, let's just return insights. Let's go back through, check it out.
Hey guys, quick shout out. If you're still here and you're getting value in this video, please help my channel out in the YouTube algorithm and hit that like button and subscribe. It truly does mean the world. All right, back to the video.
All right, so I'm just gonna go up here to the top. I was having a few errors. Let me run that. Let's check out those errors together, actually. Those errors are really helpful when I can see what they are. Here's our data. That's actually solved. I just had to shut that down and run it again. When I change this, yeah, okay. Social support, okay. So, and this is not applying my styles either. So, okay, two things. Okay, inside of our app, I'm going to give this an external style sheet. And what I can say here is dbc dash bootstrap themes dot bootstrap. Check that now. Does that fix anything? Yeah, okay. So it's applying styling now. This is good. I'm still going to get this error right. Yeah, okay. This is because those values, only the label, that's what we visualize and see. But these values, not everything's going to be capitalized, only the first letter, because that's what it's entered in our data as. So everything else here, I'm just going to go back, make sure it's lowercase. Okay, let's save that. Let's run that now. Just like address these. Fingers crossed, that should address these. Okay, so let's go to generosity. Yeah, okay, look at this now. All right, freedom to make choices. Everything's functioning how it should. Okay, this is actually amazing. Okay, so this is great. We're building this out one by one. This is wonderful. Now, I need to display other data down here. I have the highest countries and the lowest countries. I want to display the top 5, the bottom 5, and then data about that country. All right, so that's 2 more callbacks for us. So I'm going to go down here. Let's create our 3rd callback. And this callback is going to be top and bottom 5. So we're going to go app here, callback, and inside here we're going to have an output, and we are going to have an input. Okay, our outputs, well, yeah, I'll start with our output, I guess. Our output is going to be top, bottom countries. That was the ID we gave it. Okay, and then for that, we're going to say that is from the children. Our other one is going to be our metric dropdown. That's what's providing information. So metric dropdown, and it's going to give me a value. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to create a function here. Let's call this update top bottom, I guess. And it's going to take, once again, our selected metric. And inside here, let's create a list here of like top countries and bottom countries. And we're going to take our data frame and we're going to say n largest. Whoops. Where was that? There we go. I want to get the top 5 from the chosen metric. Okay. And the same way we can do for the bottom. So df n smallest 5 from the selected metric. Okay, so now I have the top 5 and the bottom 5. I want to create a list for these. So a HTML list actually. So I'll be like top countries list. This is going to be equal to html.anunordered list ul. Okay, that's what we're making here. And what is inside of an unordered list from working with HTML? Well, we have list items, li. So inside here, I'm going to say li. There's my li. And inside li, I'm going to put an f string. What do we want this to say? Well, I really just want this to say a few things. Because this is kind of like a list, I want to iterate through it. And I want to go through each 5 countries and I want to put that on our app screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an iterable here, but I'm going to say pretend we have something called row because I want to go through each row of that. And each row is going to contain a country or a region. Okay. And then additionally, I need to loop through with that made up row that we have, and I'm going to index that with my selected metric. Now you can see that I don't have a row yet or anything. So really I need to go through it now. So I'm going to say for, there's nothing here, for row in top countries. And I believe there's a method called iterRows. Yeah, there we go. So that's going to allow me to iterate through and treat it as an iterable. So I'm just iterating through these 2 and we're creating a list item for every 5 of these items. I'm going to copy that because that was just a very tedious top countries list. We're going to call this bottom countries list. Inside here, we're just going to change this to say bottom countries. Huh, that's awesome. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to give back now. Let's give back a div. And in this HTML div, we're going to house everything. So I'm going to have 2 subdivs. One div is going to be on the left, and this is going to hold the highest 5 countries, and the div on the right will hold the smallest countries. Okay, so the title for this is going to be like H3. And I'm going to put here really anything. Top 5 countries. I'm going to say top countries list. And then we'll give it a class name so I can style it later. Let's call this, oh Lord, what is this? Top bottom section. I'm going to just actually copy that. And I'm going to paste it here. And this time, oh, I'll fix that here in a second. This time I'm going to say bottom 5 countries. Bottom countries list. Let's give a style here. Where did I miss the bracket? Okay, so in our page, I shut it down. Don't worry, that's fine. You can run it again. There we go. Look at that. So the top 5, the bottom 5. That's exactly what we wanted. All right, this brings us into my last callback, guys. We're so close here. My last callback, when I click a country, I want to display information. So click a country and display info about the country. App callback. I think you're fluid with that now. We're going to have an output and we're going to have an input. The input, since I'm here, is going to be our metric dropdown. Well, actually, in this case, it's not, because the input is going to be when I click the world map. So this is actually going to be a different one. World map. And inside here, I'm going to create something called click data. So when I click, it's going to take that data. The output is going to be the country details ID, and we will eventually target the children of that. Okay, so let's create a function here. Let's give space. Let's create us a function called like display country details. This is going to take click data wherever we click out on the map. If we click, so if click data, if that's true, then I want to get the name of the country and I want to get the data, all the data for the country. So how do we get the name of the country? Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say click data, square brackets, points. I want to get the first element of that. This is a list. And then the location of where we clicked. And then for the data, well, that's held in our data frame. So I'm going to do data frame, and we are specifically going to target the country or region. This is a column in our CSV file, and anywhere where that's equal to our country name. Okay, so now I have data. I just need to display the data. So if not country data empty, let's make sure that it's not empty. Then the country is going to be our country data. I want to get the index, kind of like the position of it. And we're going to create details for that. So really inside here, I am going to drop what I have, okay, to speed things up here. All right, I'm just creating HTML elements for everything, okay? And so the name of the country is an H3 tag. And I got that right here, country name. Now, all the other ones, this is essentially like a dictionary, okay? I'm going through my data. So country data represents, for example, one of these rows of data. It represents a row, but each of these values, this is a value, it has a key. This is the parent to that. Okay, so all I'm doing there is I'm just putting in the values. It's all a string, okay? Yeah, it's all a string. We're just trying to display that data. Now, that data is very messed up. It's in a list. It's not messed up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to return an HTML div for my data to be housed in. What do I want to be in this div? Well, I want that list details. And we're here. I'm going to give it a class name. Let's give it a class name of like a country details section. Okay. And then finally, the last thing my function should be doing is it's going to return us our div back. And because in the beginning, there is no country chosen. So really all I want to see is like click on a country to see details. I want the user to see that, okay? And then I'm gonna copy this guy again, drop him here, okay? Let's see how that turned out for us. Why does that server keep cutting? I think I keep closing it on purpose or accidentally. Okay, so here's my dashboard. Let's click a country, India. Boom, there we go. Wonderful. Everything is functioning, guys. This is amazing. All right, so pause the video, go back through your code. We've done so much. Now we're gonna head into styling using Sass or SCSS. I'm gonna close this out. Okay, I'm just gonna click X. Don't kill my terminal. In assets is where I want to keep it. So you can do this with CSS, right? I'm going to put in the description how to install the SCSS processor. And it can be done very easily here in VS Code. If you guys watched my Flask, my Intro to Flask course, you already have it. I taught you how to do that there. I'm going to create a file called style.scss. Enter. And at the bottom here, because I have the extension, watch Sass. I'm just going to click that. It's going to do some things, and you can see that it created a map in the CSS file. All of these should actually be in assets. There we go. Okay, so everything is housed in assets except your Python file. Now we're ready to start styling. All right, the great thing about this is I can create variables. That's really why I like Sass, and I can nest as well. So variables and nesting. I'm going to spend a few minutes finding colors and styles that I'm going to use here, and I'm just going to drop them in here. Okay, so spend a few minutes, create variables, right? So I'll teach you how to do one, and then you can try a few others. If you want to create a variable, we use the $sign in the name of your variable. So for example, background color. That's what I'm going to call this variable. And then we just give it a value. So for example, I'm going to use something like wheat. I just made a variable. Okay, so now in my CSS code, anywhere I use this variable background color, it's just going to apply the color I've set here at the top. All right, so spend a few minutes, create some variables, create a theme for your dashboard application. So these are the ones that I'm going to be using, okay? I don't know if I'll even use them all, but I was trying to start and I thought of ones that could be applied. And these are the ones that we're going to use, all right? So if I go down here, I'm just going to start with my body, okay? It's always a good idea to start with our body. I'm going to give a font family to everyone, and let's use something here like Franklin Gothic Medium. That's kind of cool. I'm going to use that one. Okay, the background color, I'm going to use my variable that I made, background color. See? And then I can change the variables at the top without having to go through everything. The color of all my text is going to be my text color. We always give a margin of 0. Okay, and we always give a padding of 0. Awesome. Let's see. And the last one, we always do a box sizing, and I'm going to do here border box. Okay, that's just standard practice in CSS. I don't like every time that opens when I save. Okay. Okay. So if I think I killed it, let's run this. So it's always going to just instantly reflect the changes. Cool. Yeah. Okay. The changes are being applied. This is great. This is great. I'm going to change this color here actually, because I'm going for like a greenish nature vibe. So inside here, quickly, where did I make my map? Map. Here, peach. I'm using peach. We're gonna apply this. Yeah, this is better. I like this a lot. Okay, so in my Sass, I'm now gonna continue. I'm gonna start with the now, all of our class names we gave, right? So, for example, I'm not going to come back here again, probably. I get it. I didn't save the CSS. These class names we use in our CSS, not the IDs. The IDs are to pass information around to. So class name is app header. That's what I want to use here. So app header. For this, I'm going to make sure that the text is in the center. I'm going to give this a margin of, let's say, 20 by 0. We can give this a background color of, what did I say here? H3 header BG color. That's the one I chose. The color for this is going to be header text color. Padding is going to be 20px by 0px. And let's give this a border radius of 8 pixels. Okay, so that's the app header. But then with Sass, I can nest. So what is inside the app header? The app header is a div. Inside, I have an h1. So I'm just going to say h1. You can see how it's nested. And I'm going to give this a margin of 0. And then I'm going to give this a font size. I created a font size that we're going to use here. We're going to say here header font size. Cool. Okay, so up top there, right, you can create not just colors, also any CSS value you can create a variable for. Okay, pretty cool. If we check real quick, look at that, looking great, guys. All right, now we need to do a lot of work with the dropdown a little bit, but really at the bottom here, a lot of work needs to be done. Okay, so let's scroll down. I'm going to start to focus my time on the insights. Before our insights, let me target the dropdown container. I believe that was the name. We will find out soon if that was the name or not. I'm going to give it a margin of 20 pixels and an auto. Okay. We're going to set a max width to this to be 600 pixels. And the text align, I want this to be in the center. Cool. Inside there, I have a class for my core component dropdown. And I'm going to make sure that the width of this is at 100%. And then anything that is selected, so I'm going to say select, I'm going to give a padding of 10 to, padding of 10, a border radius, let's say 8 pixels again. I'm going to give a border 1 pixel solid. I think I made one. Yeah, border color. And then my font size, I'm going to be like 1.5. No, it's too big. 1 EM. Okay, looking good. Let's check. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Honestly, since I'm here, margin, what is that? Left, right, auto. I don't want padding. I'm actually gonna give it a 20px here a sec. I don't know why I did 2020. Not quite what I wanted, but that's fine. I'll put back auto for now. Okay, this brings us to the insights at the bottom. So this is a few things. So this is our class data insights. We have the top, bottom countries. Guys, if you're getting value, do me a favor, hit the like button. That really does help me out, okay? And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing, all right? This video took a while, and I hope you guys are getting value from it. So hit the like button if you like this kind of content. I'm going to give this a margin again of 20 pixels with an auto. I will fix this. Background is going to be white, which I don't know why I made a variable for that. Padding is going to be 20 pixels. Border radius is going to be 8 pixels. I would like each thing to have a box shadow. So box shadow 0, 0, 10 pixels, and I created a color for box shadow. Cool. Inside here we have H3s. I'm going to do margin bottom. We're going to do 15 pixels. We have a color for our text. H3 color, and then we have a font size. For this one, where is it? H3 font size. So our country details. Moving on to the final phase of this. Now the top, bottom container, we are going to display, I don't want them stacked, I want them next to each other. So I need to display flex. We're going to justify content, and I'm going to put space between to give some padding on the sides, and then we're going to flex wrap them. Okay, let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, yep, look at that. Looking good, okay? So we flexed wrap them. Now inside of that, we had the top bottom section. Okay, so we're going to say flex of 1. Min width I assigned to it of 250. We're going to say margin of 10 pixels. Margin is a good thing. Padding of 25, give it some extra pillow room. Border radius, what have I been saying? 8 pixels is good. And then a background color. Let's go with this one, light gray background color. Finally, we have our list. So I don't want any of the bullet points. So list style type, I can just say none. I don't want the bullet points. Padding is going to be 0. There is no padding. Within the list, we have our list items that I need to target now. Just go away. Thank you. List items. I'm going to give each list item 5 pixels by 0. We can do a font size of 1. And we're going to do a color of, let's make a color here, 666. That's bad luck, but okay. Check it. Looking good. This is looking great. I like this. And this brings us to our final section, guys. So country details section. I'm going to give this a padding of 40 pixels, a border radius of 10 pixels, a background color of, what was that, light gray something? Yeah, this one. Okay, and then finally, all the data that appears when we click a country, I would like this to take a padding of 5 pixels, not too much, font size, and a color. Ooh, I might be very, very happy with that. Ha! Oh, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that. Can I push this down? I mean, honestly, it's fine. Not the end of the world. Well, there we have it, guys. Our interactive dashboard application. Holy moly. This was a lot, but this is a web application showcasing us the world happiness data, and you can see that it is indeed responsive and our map is changing based on the input that we're giving it. Right? Drop some comments, let me know what you think.
Well, there you have it, guys. Our interactive data web application, all using the Dash framework. This has been a blast, and I hope to build on this series and create more dashboards with you guys. Drop me a comment and let me know your thoughts on today's episode. What do you want to see going forward? More dashboards, more projects? It's up to you, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Remember, the first link in the description and all the other links are there to help you guys. And the first one is the data set that I used today, as well as my free weekly Python newsletter. Come on down, show your support, and if you've been here this far, hit that like button, okay? That like button really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing. I have weekly content coming out, all dedicated at you guys and helping you grow. Well, guys, that's another episode in the books. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Code with Josh. Until next time, Python crew.